Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. In the previous classes, we understood what is auto-scaling and how to set up pod auto-scaling in the Kubernetes. And we have seen what is EFK, how to do log monitoring in the Kubernetes by using EFK, and what is ingress controller, and what is the purpose of ingress controller, and how to set up ingress controller. We discussed in the last class. All right, let me quickly summarize what we have learned in Kubernetes so far. In Kubernetes, first we understood what is orchestration. What is orchestration? Can anyone tell me what is orchestration? Unmute your mic and respond. What is orchestration? We need answers, guys. What is orchestration?
You can say it's a management of multiple containers.
Orchestration is management of multiple containers. What are the orchestration tools available in the market? What are the orchestration tools available?
Kubernetes and
Docker Swarm, Kubernetes,
yes.
OpenShift. These are called as orchestration tools. Docker Swarm. Why Docker Swarm is not using in the market? What is the problem?
It's not support auto-scaling.
Auto-scaling. Right. In the Docker Swarm, scaling is a manual process. In the Kubernetes, auto-scaling is available. That is one of the biggest drawback in the Docker Swarm. That's why Kubernetes is having more demand than the Docker Swarm. Kubernetes is open source orchestration platform developed by Google. So what is Kubernetes? Can anyone tell me what is Kubernetes? Can anyone tell me what is Kubernetes?
It's an orchestration platform to manage containers.
Right. Kubernetes is an open source orchestration platform to manage containers in our application. It is developed by Google using Go language. The first version of the Kubernetes released in the 2015. Google donated this software to CNCF Foundry, so they are managing the Kubernetes now. Fine. Next one, we understood Kubernetes architecture. Can anyone tell me what is Kubernetes architecture?
It has control plane and worker node.
Control plane,
worker node.
API server.
Kubernetes will follow cluster architecture. In the cluster architecture, control plane will be available and worker nodes also will be available. Control plane will contain API server, scheduler, controller manager, and etcd. Worker nodes will contain kubelet, kubeproxy, Docker, and pods. API server is responsible to receive the request and store in the etcd. Scheduler will identify the unscheduled pods and will schedule the pods in the worker nodes by using kubelet. Kubelet is going to create our pod, and the kubeproxy will provide the network communication. Pod will be created in the cluster. Okay. Then after we have seen Kubernetes cluster setup. Kubernetes cluster setup. So which cluster we have set up? AWS EKS cluster. What is AWS EKS? It is a provider managed cluster. So you can set up the cluster on your own by taking the virtual machines with Kubedium. But in the real time, people will use AWS EKS cluster. Why we are going for AWS EKS cluster? What is the benefit of going with AWS EKS?
Availability.
High availability will be available. Control plane will never go down. So highly scalable, highly available, highly reliable cluster will be available. That will be maintained by AWS. So that's why people will run the Kubernetes applications on the AWS cluster. It is fully managed by AWS Cloud. AWS EKS is free of cost, or AWS EKS is a commercial? Come on, guys.
Commercial.
AWS EKS is commercial cluster. Okay. Then after we have seen what is kubectl. What is kubectl?
command line interface to interact
On
with the
its
CLI
Kubernetes
software
cluster.
to interact with the control
command
plane.
line interface, sir.
Yes.
It's a
So here, when we are having Kubernetes cluster, in order to deploy our applications in the cluster, we need to execute some commands. For that, we are going to use kubectl. Some people will call it as a kubectl. Some people will call it as kubectl. Kubectl is a CLI software which is used to communicate with our Kubernetes cluster for deploying the applications, for checking the logs, for scaling, all the process, whatever you want to do with the Kubernetes cluster, that we are going to do by using kubectl. Then after, we discussed about pods. What is pod in the Kubernetes?
It's a building block
Smallest
in
deployment unit.
Pod is a smallest building block that we can run in the Kubernetes cluster. So in the Docker, we are going to create the containers to run the application, but in the Kubernetes, we will create the pods to run our application. Pod is called as running process in the Kubernetes. Every pod will have unique IP. Every pod will have unique IP. So is it recommended to access our application by using pod IP, or it is not recommended to access the application by using pod IP?
Not recommended.
It is not recommended to access our application by using
Ephemeral.
pod IP because pods are ephemeral. Pods are very short-lived objects. Pods will be scaled up, pods will be scaled down. So that's why we should not access the pods by using pod IP. So now, when the pods are created to run our application, inside the pods, containers will be available. Now, to access the pods, we are going to use services in the Kubernetes. What is a service in the Kubernetes? What is Kubernetes service?
To access the pods externally, we use this service.
Right, Kubernetes service. Kubernetes service is used to expose the pods, right? When the pods are created, those pods will be available in the cluster. Every pod will have a pod IP, but the pods are ephemeral. It is not recommended to access the pods by using pod IP. So because pods may crash, pods will recreate, pods will be deleted, pods will be created. So we cannot predict the pod IPs. That's why we should not access the pods by using pod IP. But our application will be running in the container. Container will be running in the pod. That pods will be created by kubelet. What is a kubelet? What is a kubelet? Who will create our pod in the node? Kubelet. What is kubelet?
Kubernetes is an agent.
Node agent.
Agent.
Worker node.
Node agent.
Node agent. It's
Right.
a node
Once the
agent.
pod is created by the kubelet in the worker node, to expose the pods, we are going to use Kubernetes service concept. Now, how many types of services we have in the Kubernetes?
Three types.
Three
Three
types.
types of services available. Cluster IP is available.
Node
Load port.
Is
Load
available.
balancer.
Load balancer.
Load balancer is available. What is the meaning of a cluster IP?
Within the cluster, we
Access
can
within
access
the
the
cluster.
pods.
Within the cluster only, within the cluster, to access the pods, for all the pods, one IP address will be generated. If the pods are deleted, or if the pods count is increased, or if the pods count is decreased, cluster IP is not going to change. Cluster IP is a static IP that will be provided for our pods. Okay, then, so even by using cluster IP, can we access the pods outside the cluster, or we cannot access the pods outside the cluster?
No, we cannot.
No.
With the help
Cluster
of
IP
ingress, we
is
can.
used only within the cluster. Cluster IP is accessible only within the cluster. If you want to access the pods outside the cluster, then we will go for node port
Node
service.
port or
Right.
load balancer.
Load balancer. So what is the difference between node port and load balancer?
Node port
balancer
will
will create
its own.
each
Node
pod.
port means
own.
particular
Load
node.
balancer distributes the traffic to.
Right. Node port means so you can access the pods based on the particular node IP. Always the request will go to only that particular node. If you want to access the pods with a load distribution, then we need to go for load
Load
balancer.
balancer.
Okay. What is a headless service in the Kubernetes?
The cluster IP, none.
Yes.
We're giving cluster IP.
No
none.
IP address.
I don't want to generate any IP address for the service, and we will make it as a headless service.
For
Generally,
databases,
for
we
the
use that.
databases, we will use this headless service.
Headless service.
So when the IP address is not available, how to access that service? By using service name, right? So database is deployed as a stateful set. For that, we are using cluster IP as none. When we use a cluster IP as none, that will become headless service. How my application will access the database when there is no IP address? Service
Config map
will
and
be available.
secrets.
By using service map, we are going to access the database service. That is called headless service. What is node port range in the Kubernetes?
30,000 to
32,000.
32,767.
What is node port range in Kubernetes? It is 30,000 to 32,767. 30,000 to 32,767 is the range of the node port. If I don't give the node port number for the node port service, then what Kubernetes will do?
It will take
It's
random.
a random number between the range.
Whenever we are writing a service, if you don't assign the node port number, then Kubernetes will go take the random port number from 30,000 to 32,767. That is node port range in the Kubernetes. Then after we discussed what is namespace in the Kubernetes. What is namespace in the Kubernetes?
Logical grouping of the objects like
Right.
pods.
Whatever the objects that we are creating in the Kubernetes cluster, we can group them. So application related objects I want to keep as one unit, as one group. Database related objects I want to group as one unit. For that, we are going for namespaces. Namespaces are used to group the Kubernetes components logically. Suppose if I create a pod without using any namespace, then what will happen?
It will into default.
Default.
It will take the
Right.
default
If
namespace.
you don't specify any namespace, then by default, Kubernetes will consider default namespace. But is it recommended to create our components on the default namespace?
No.
No, always we are going to create
Create
our
a
custom
namespace.
namespace, and we will use the custom namespace in our manifest YML. All right, fine. After that, we have seen that creating the pods manually recommended or not recommended?
Not recommended.
Not
Not
recommended.
Not recommended. Why? Why it is
Self-healing
not
capacity will be not
recommended?
there.
Why it is not recommended?
Because if the pod will be deleted, then
Self-healing
application will be
capacity.
down on that time.
Self-healing, if you create the pod manually, Kubernetes will not manage the pod lifecycle. Okay, so it is not recommended to create the pods manually. If you create the pods manually, if the pod is crashed or if the pod is deleted, Kubernetes will not recreate the new pod. So that's why we are going for Kubernetes.
Application controller.
Right? What are the resources available? What are the resources available to create pods in Kubernetes?
Replication controller and
What are the resources available to
Replication
create pods in
controller,
the
controller,
replica
Kubernetes?
set.
replica set,
Yes,
daemon set,
we can say
deployment set.
stateful set and
replication
deployment.
controller is available. Replica set is
Application
available.
replica set,
Replication controller, replica set is available.
Deployment.
Deployment available.
Stateful
Stateful
set,
set is available.
stateful set,
daemon
And
set.
daemon set.
Daemon
Daemon.
set.
Stateful set is available and
Daemon.
daemon set is available. So can you tell me what is replication controller?
It's a component used to create.
Yeah,
It
is a
used to create the
component.
replicas.
Yeah, it is a component which is used to create the pod replicas. The advantage is always it will maintain given number of pods count. If I give 3, always it will maintain 3. Out of these 3, if any one pod got deleted, that pod will be recreated by replication controller. What is replica set then?
Replica set is
Both
a
are
the new
advanced version of
generation,
replica
next
controller,
generation.
which will
Selector,
be
difference is selector. Replication controller support the
set
equality based
based
selector and the replica set
controller.
support the
Right.
set based selector.
Replication controller will support equality based selector. Replica set
Replica
supports
is
set based
set-based.
selector. That means multiple labels we can configure for the replica set. Then what is the deployment?
Deployment is also creates the pods which will autos we can with which we
random
can
order.
auto scale
Deployment is the most recommended approach to deploy our applications on the cluster. Deployment is used to deploy stateless applications on the cluster, rollout, rollback supported by deployment, and another advantage is auto scaling concept is available in the deployment. Okay.
Zero runtime deployment.
Yes, with zero downtime, we can deploy our applications by using deployment. Then what is a stateful set?
With the help of the stateful set, we can persistence the data.
Right. By
Data
using,
can be stored.
by using stateful set, we can create stateful pods, stateful containers we can create. Stateful set will maintain the sticky identity for the pod. Pod 0, pod 1, pod 2 will be created. Whenever you delete the pod, in the deployment, pods will be deleted in the random order. In the stateful set, pods will be deleted in the reverse
Reverse
order.
order.
So when you are deploying databases, we will go for stateful set. When we are deploying applications, then we will go for deployment. Right. Then what is the daemon set in the Kubernetes?
Daemon set is also used to create the pods.
For logging,
by this, we can install
monitoring
a pod,
metrics.
each pod in each node. If you want to
Create
If
the
you
copy of
want
the
to
pod.
create, if you want to create a copy of the pod in the each worker node, then we can go for daemon set. Some of the use cases for the daemon set is FluentD.
monitoring tools.
FluentD. So FluentD is responsible to monitor, to collect the logs from all the nodes, right? That's why that should be created on the each worker node. For that, we will go for daemon set. Daemon set is used to create the copy of the pod on the each worker node. All right. Then after discussing this, we discussed about blue-green deployment model. We discussed about blue-green deployment model. So that is very, very, very important in the real time to deploy our applications. What is blue-green deployment model?
Without disturbing the present application, deploying
Less
the new
risky.
application.
Zero downtime.
Yes,
Easy
without disturbing the existing traffic, without disturbing the existing traffic, we can deploy latest code in the production. Once the latest code is tested, then we can simply divert the traffic from one environment to another environment.
With zero downtime.
For blue-green deployment. Blue is
Seamless user experience.
blue means blue means old code, green means latest
New code.
code. Blue environment and green environment will be available. Existing application which is running in the live, that is called as blue environment. Without disturbing the existing traffic, we will deploy our latest code as a green pods. Without disturbing the existing traffic, we'll deploy the latest code in the green environment. We will have a time to test our green environment application. Once the testing is completed, then simply we will divert the traffic from blue environment to green environment. How to divert the traffic from blue environment to green environment?
In service, we can.
In the service, we are going to change the pod selectors. Pod selector. What are the labels and selectors in the Kubernetes?
Which will map the pod.
Mapping of the
labels
data.
and selectors in Kubernetes. For label is nothing but a identity for the pod. Selector is used to identify the pod by using pod label. When I create the pod, for that pod, I will give one identity. When I want to expose the pod by using service, that label will be configured as a selector in the service. So without labels and selectors, can we work with Kubernetes?
No.
No.
No. So pod manifest will be separate. Deployment manifest will be separate. Service manifest will be separate. When my application is deployed in the Kubernetes cluster, if I want to expose that deployment as a service, then I need to identify the pod by using pod label. Pod label will be configured as a selector in the service in Kubernetes service. Okay. Labels and selectors are very important when we are working with Kubernetes deployments. Then after we discussed what is EFK. We discussed about a Helm. We discussed about Helm. What is a Helm, guys?
Helm is a package manager.
To install
Helm
the
is a package manager which is used to deploy applications on the Kubernetes cluster. Helm is a package manager. In the Linux, if you want to install the software, we are using yum package manager or apt package manager, depends on the Linux flavor. If it is Amazon Linux or Red Hat Linux, we will go for yum package manager. If it is a Ubuntu Linux, then we will go for apt
Apt
package
manager.
right? So similarly, I want to deploy some softwares on my Kubernetes cluster. For that, we are going for Helm charts. Helm is a package manager which is used to deploy applications or which is used to deploy softwares in the Kubernetes cluster. Guys, here in the Helm chart, I have explained how to install predefined softwares like Grafana, Prometheus, metric server by using Helm chart. In the real time, in some projects, our applications also will be deployed by using Helm chart. I will show one example on how to deploy our application by creating Helm chart, how to create our own Helm chart, and how to deploy our application by using Helm chart. I will explain one example on that. So Helm chart, some projects will use a Helm chart to install predefined softwares like Grafana, Prometheus, metric server, and all. In some projects, people will use Helm chart to deploy custom application also. I mean, our whatever the application is available, that application also we are going to deploy by using Helm chart. Okay.
So Ashok, when we use that, when we are gonna deploy the application in Helm chart, like Helm chart, like Prometheus and Grafana is gonna help us just like Kibana.
No. Purpose, I will come to that.
Okay.
So Helm chart is a package manager which is used to deploy our applications, right? So before this, we understood
Config map
what is config map and secret.
and secrets
Secrets. Config map and
to
secret.
store
What is
environment
the
specific
purpose of
information.
config map and secrets?
Non-confidential data to be stored in
application
config map
properties.
and confidential data to be stored in secret.
And
I don't
environment
want to
specific
hardcode.
property.
I don't want to hard code any data related to environment properties like database properties or Kafka properties or SMTP properties. I don't want to hard code any kind of data in my application. I want to develop my Docker images as portable. My Docker image should be able to deploy in any environment without changing the properties. That's where config map and secrets comes into picture. By using config map and secrets, we can pass environment properties dynamically when our pods are getting created. Then after, we have seen Spring Boot application deployment with MySQL database. Spring Boot application deployment with MySQL DB using config map and secret. We have deployed MySQL database as a stateful set by using config map and secret, and we deployed Spring Boot application. That Spring Boot application connected with the MySQL database. After that is done, we discussed about Helm chart. Helm charts are used. Helm is a package manager which is used to install softwares in the Kubernetes cluster, and we can use a Helm chart to deploy our applications also. Whatever the application that we have, we are deploying our application by writing YML. We can create a chat for our application and we can deploy that in the Kubernetes cluster. And after this, we discussed about Kubernetes monitoring. Okay, to do the Kubernetes monitoring, we have taken two
Prometheus
softwares,
and
guys.
Grafana.
One is Prometheus and another one is Grafana. What is the role of Prometheus and what is the role of Grafana?
Just a monitoring and alerting tool.
Yeah, Prometheus is collecting the data from the cluster and Prometheus will give the data to the Grafana. What is Grafana?
Grafana will provide the data
Analyzing
in
and
terms of
monitoring
graphs.
tool.
Right.
Visualization.
Visual tool.
Grafana is going to provide the visualization for our cluster. We can monitor the worker nodes performance. We can monitor our application performance. We can monitor nodes performance. All the information related to Kubernetes cluster can be monitored by using Grafana. This Prometheus and Grafana softwares we have installed by using Helm chart. So predefined Helm charts available for this Prometheus and Grafana. We have installed them by using this. We have monitored our Kubernetes cluster by installing Prometheus and Grafana. Okay. Then after, we have seen logs aggregation. Log aggregation using EFK.
EFK.
Yeah. So what is log aggregation?
Collecting logs from
Collecting
different
all
pods
the-
into a single
all the
server.
logs related to nodes and
Right.
projecting in the
So
visual.
our application will run in multiple pods. Multiple pods will be running in multiple nodes. For one application only, we can create multiple pods. Those are called replicas. The pods will be running on multiple worker nodes. So when the application is running on running in multiple pods on multiple worker nodes, it is very difficult for the developers to monitor logs of the application. First of all, what is logging? What is logging in the application and what is log monitoring in the application? We discussed logging and log monitoring. What is logging, guys?
Logging lights, application execution details.
Storing application execution details is called as logging. What is log monitoring? What is log monitoring? Taking the logs of the application
Collecting.
execution flow. Taking the logs to understand the execution flow is called as log monitoring. Then what is log aggregation using EFK? What is log aggregation using EFK? Collecting all the logs at one place and providing with the user interface. So EFK is the combination of 3 open source products. What are those 3 open source products in the EFK? Elasticsearch, Fluentd, and Kibana. What is Elasticsearch? What is Fluentd? And what is Kibana? Guys, come on. What is Elasticsearch? What is Fluentd? And what is Kibana?
Fluentd is log.
Sir, Elasticsearch will collect the data from the clusters, and Fluentd will store the data, and Kibana will visualize the tools.
No. Fluentd will.
First, we will take the
Fluentd
data
will-
in Fluentd from the nodes.
Yeah.
And then Elasticsearch, then Kibana. Elasticsearch just used to store the data which is taken by the Fluentd, and after that you can with the help of
Kibana is
GUI, we can
visualization
show the
tool
Kibana.
to show the data.
Right.
Sir,
Fluentd
Fluentd
is listen to me. EFK is the combination of 3 open source products. E stands for Elasticsearch, F stands for Fluentd, K stands for Kibana. Fluentd is a pod which will deploy on the each node as a daemon set. Fluentd will collect the logs from all the nodes, will give it to the Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch will store all the logs in the Elasticsearch database. Elasticsearch is a stateful set. Then Kibana is a web application. Kibana will be deployed by using deployment concept. Kibana will provide the user interface to get the logs from the Elasticsearch. Fluentd will collect the logs from the nodes and will give it to Elasticsearch. Kibana will collect the logs from the Elasticsearch and will present in the UI. EFK, Elasticsearch, Fluentd, Kibana. These are used for log aggregation in our Kubernetes cluster. You got it? Understand, guys, what is log aggregation using EFK?
Yes, sir.
EFK stands for Elasticsearch, Fluentd, and Kibana. Elasticsearch is used to store the logs. Fluentd is used to collect the logs from the nodes. Kibana is used to visualize the logs. That's it. Now, as a DevOps engineer, we will set up this EFK and will give the Kibana URL to the developers. Developers will monitor the application logs. If any problem is there in the application, developer will understand the execution flow. Developers will fix the problem. Got it. Now, after EFK, what we have discussed? After EFK, what we have discussed, guys?
Auto scaling.
Right. We discussed about Kubernetes HPA. What is Kubernetes HPA?
Horizontal
That
pod
is
auto scaling.
horizontal pod auto scaling. Yeah. Horizontal pod auto scaling. What is the meaning of horizontal pod auto scaling?
Increasing and decreasing of pod based on the load.
So whenever we deploy our application on the cluster, if more number of requests are coming, the load will increase on our machine. When the load is increasing on the machines, I want to increase the pods count. So that pods will be deployed on the multiple nodes and the load will be distributed. To increase the pods and to decrease the pods based on the demand. So we are going for scaling. So in the Kubernetes, auto scaling is an inbuilt functionality, whereas in the Docker Swarm, auto scaling is not available. One of the most powerful feature of the Kubernetes is auto scaling only. Then after we discussed about ingress controller. After horizontal pod auto scaling, we discussed about ingress controller. So can anyone tell me what is ingress controller in the Kubernetes?
Sir,
Ingress
ingress
controller is
ingress
used
controller
to
is
expose the
working
pods
like
outside
router.
the
It is used
cluster.
to map the external
externally
URLs to the Kubernetes
horizontal
cluster, basically.
cluster
So in the Kubernetes, multiple services will be deployed. Our backend services will be available. Database will be deployed as a stateful set as a headless service. That is one story. And next, backend microservices will be available. Microservices will be deployed in the Kubernetes cluster. We don't want to allow anybody to access our backend services directly. That's why we will deploy them as a cluster IP. Right now, my front-end application should access my services. Any request which is coming from outside, that should be mapped to the particular service in the Kubernetes. Routing. Basically, ingress controller is used for routing purpose. Which request should be routed to which service in the Kubernetes cluster, that will be managed by ingress controller. Ingress controller is used for routing purpose. Ingress controller is used for routing purpose. Did we miss anything here that we have discussed in the Kubernetes?
Web dashboard.
That is not working, sir. So there is some issue
Okay.
with that. We need to fix that issue. Web dashboard is just for our understanding purpose, guys, because in the real time, applications will be deployed through pipelines. CI/CD pipelines will be available. When we are going for CI/CD pipeline, our Jenkins will trigger the deployment, and that deployment will happen by using kubectl. By using kubectl, that manifest YMLs will be executed. Web dashboard is just for our understanding purpose. In the latest version, they changed the way how to create the token. Still, I did not find the solution for that. So once I get the solution, I will update you. I need to do more research on that.
EKS is Amazon service.
Guys, your voice is breaking. Speak loudly.
So
Sir,
EKS is
our
a AWS service, but then why do we need a web dashboard? Can we not use any kind of UI provided by Amazon to monitor this EKS?
No. EKS is provided by Amazon. Web dashboard is not
Yes.
for monitoring the Kubernetes. Web dashboard is used to deploy your applications from the UI. As of now, how we are deploying our application by using kubectl command. Instead of executing that command, we can deploy by using, instead of executing that command by using kubectl, we can deploy that by using web dashboard. That is just for our understanding purpose. Okay. But real projects will not be deployed from the web dashboard. Real projects will be deployed through pipelines. When we are going for a pipeline, our pipeline will execute kubectl command to execute the deployment manifest YMLs. All right. So this ingress controller also we understood. Ingress controller is used to map the routings. Routing rules we are going to configure in the ingress controller. Which request is coming? That request should be mapped to which request is coming, which request should be mapped to which service in the Kubernetes cluster, that will be managed by ingress controller. Perfect. Now, let us see the commands that we have learnt in the Kubernetes. Guys, could you please tell me what is the command to check the nodes that are available in the cluster?
kubectl get nodes.
kubectl get nodes.
So, and one more thing we discussed here, that is metric server. What is metric server in Kubernetes?
To check the resource utilization in each
Right.
pod.
So whenever we are going for horizontal pod auto scaling, we need metric server. Without metric server, can horizontal pod auto scaler will work or will not work? Will not work, because horizontal pod auto scaler requires the metrics about the resource utilization, regarding memory utilization. Metric server is going to play the major role. Metric server will monitor our nodes, will give the metrics to the HPA. Based on the metrics given by the HPA will decide for scale up or scale down. Good. Then after, we have seen the commands. We have executed several commands in the Kubernetes. So what is the command to check how many nodes are working in the cluster and what is the
kubectl
status
get
of the
nodes.
nodes? We can go
kubectl
for
get.
kubectl get nodes command. kubectl get nodes command will tell us what are the nodes available and what is the status of the nodes. How to get the pods in the cluster?
kubectl get
kubectl
pods.
get pods.
kubectl get
-n
pods command we
namespace.
can use. So when I execute kubectl get pods command, it will give the pods from which namespace?
Default.
It will give the pods from the default namespace.
Default
How
namespace.
to check that? The pods are running on which worker node?
kubectl get nodes
kubectl
-o
get
wide.
-o
wide. -o wide.
Wide.
So if you execute kubectl get nodes command, it will give what all the nodes available in our cluster. What is the status of the node? kubectl get pods command will give what all the pods running and what is the pod status. Okay. kubectl get pods -o wide. It is used to display the pods running in which worker node. Okay. Now, can we describe the pod?
kubectl describe pod name.
Describe pod.
Pod
And we
name.
can go for pod name. What is the meaning of describing the pod? Checking
Detailed
all the
information about the pod.
All that
information about the pod. How to check the pod logs?
kubectl log
kubectl
Logs. Pod name. Right. Why we need to check the logs of the pod?
For checking any issues.
Issue
If
errors
the
or
pod is,
Troubleshooting.
if the pod is not started, if the pod is crashed, if the pod is damaged, we need to troubleshoot that pod. In order to troubleshoot that pod, we are going for kubectl logs pod name. So then pod logs will be displayed. Can we enter into the pod bash?
Yes.
How to enter into the pod
kubectl
bash?
exec pod control
-it.
kubectl
Container.
-it
pod name /bin/bash.
/bash.
So why we need to go for /bin/bash? Why we need to execute this exec command? What is the purpose of this exec command? Why logs command is already available, which is used to check the pod logs. Then why we need to go for exec?
If you want to install anything
To enter the pod.
We can go inside the pod.
Go inside.
We want to get into the pod to see what files are created, whether database is created or not, database tables are created or not, data inserted properly or not. If you want to see that, then we can go for exec command. That is, we are interacting with the pod. We are entering into the pod machine. Pod nothing but a container. Container nothing but Linux machine.
Sir, exec and attach command. What is the difference between?
Attach command. I did
Yes.
not see attach command.
actually Ashok
Get enter into the pod.
trying to enter into the pod using kubectl exec-it with the same command, it's giving some error for me.
We'll check that, sir. We'll check
Yes.
that. So now I have deployed my database by using the stateful set or by using deployment. Pod is created. So what will be there inside the pod? Container will be available. What is a container, guys? What is a container?
Container is the
Linux machine. Container is one virtual Linux machine. Got it? So I am deploying pods, right? I'm creating the pod. Inside the pod, container will be available. Container means it is one Linux machine. So if I want to get into the container machine, if I want to get into the container machine, then we can go for this exec-it. How to get the pods which are belongs to particular namespace?
kubectl get pods -n
namespace name.
kubectl get pods -n namespace. So if I don't give any namespace, by default, my pods will be created under default namespace. If pods are created in the particular namespace, in order to get that, we will go for -n namespace. Okay? Now, where the cluster pods will be created in the Kubernetes? Kube system. API server will be running as a pod. etcd will be running as a pod. Scheduler will be running as a pod. Kubelet will be running as a pod. Kube proxy will be running as a pod. These all are predefined pods that are coming up with the cluster. Some Kubernetes cluster is running, right? The pods will be available. API server is a pod. In which namespace our API server will run?
System.
Kube system namespace will be used by API server. Okay, guys. Now, so how to delete all the resources available in the default namespace?
kubectl delete
kubectl delete all
hyphen
all.
all
All
double hyphen
all.
all. So when I execute kubectl delete all double hyphen all, what will happen?
So it will be deleted
all the resources will be
Will
deleted
be
from
delete
all.
all
Unused network,
pods, services,
pods,
Everything,
deployment.
all the resources that we have created in the cluster under default namespace will be deleted.
Deleted.
Okay. Now, how to create the deployment? How to execute manifest file in the Kubernetes?
kubectl apply hyphen f
Play,
Kubectl apply
manifest file name.
hyphen f YML file name.
YML file.
YML file name.
name.
So whatever the manifest YML you have, that manifest YML you can execute by using kubectl apply hyphen f. Hyphen f represents file name, which file you want to execute. Okay. Now, how to see what all the services available in the cluster?
kubectl get
Service.
Get service.
Yes, we can go for a command call kubectl
Kubectl
get
get
SVC.
SVC or
SVC you can
service.
write, or you can write service also. Anything is fine. Right. If you write kubectl get SVC, then all the services which are available, what are the services that we have created in the cluster will be displayed. Suppose if you want to see the services belongs to particular namespace,
kubectl get svc hyphen n
get
namespace.
SVC
Get
hyphen
service
n,
hyphen
Hyphen
n
namespace.
then the services belongs to that particular namespace we are going to get. How to delete a service?
kubectl delete
kubectl delete service.
Service.
Delete service, then
Service name.
Service name.
So,
whatever the service I have created, I want to delete that service. For that, we will go for kubectl delete service name.
Service name.
Then we edit the service once it got created. For example, by mistake, I have created a service as a cluster IP. Can I change it to node port without re-executing the file?
in the YAML.
I don't want to change the YAML. Can I change that service directly?
edit option is there.
Yes, kubectl edit service option is available. So I created a service type I have given as a cluster IP. Now I want to change the service type to node port. So one thing we can do is we can change the YML file and we can reapply the YML. That is one change. But without changing in the YML, can I directly update my service in the cluster? Yes, for that we have seen. That is what we have done for Grafana and Prometheus, right? Service is created with the Helm chart. We edited that service. We change it to load balancer. kubectl edit service name. So then for that service which YML is used, that YML will be modified. Not our local YML. In the cluster, that service will be modified directly. Okay. kubectl get service, which is used to get all the services available under a default namespace. kubectl get service hyphen a namespace. All the services which are belongs to that particular namespace, we are going to get that. And kubectl delete service, which is used to delete the particular service based on the service name. And the kubectl edit service command is available, which is used to edit the service directly in the cluster without modifying our manifest YML. Without modifying our manifest YML, directly we can edit the service by using edit command. Okay. Then after we discussed how to check namespaces in the Kubernetes.
kubectl get ns.
Get ns, which will give the namespace. How to create a namespace?
kubectl create
Create ns and namespace.
What we are giving the name.
Which namespace that you want. Now, how to delete the namespace?
kubectl delete ns.
kubectl delete ns namespace name.
Namespace name. If I delete a namespace, then what will happen?
All the resources present in the namespace will be deleted.
All the resources which belongs to all the namespace, all the resources which are belongs to that namespace will be deleted. Okay. And how to scale up our pods?
kubectl
if it is a deployment, kubectl scale, kubectl scale, deployment, whatever the name that we have given for the deployment name, double hyphen,
replicas
replicas 2 or 3 or 1.
Right. kubectl scale the resource name. It can be replication controller. It can be, I can say, replica deployment, stateful set, or daemon set. kubectl scale deployment name, double hyphen replica 5. This is called manual scaling. So when I go for replicas 5, it will check the current number of pods. Current pods are already 8. Then what this command will do?
It will scale down to 5.
Will scale down to 5.
If the current pods are 8, it will scale down to 5. If the current pods are 2,
Scale up
it will
to 5.
scale up
Scale down to 5.
So whether scale up or scale down depends on the existing pod count and the given pod count. If a given pod count is less than existing pod count, then it will scale down. If a given pod count is greater than the existing pod count, then it will scale up our pods. Got it? kubectl scale deployment name replica 5. It is used to do that. How to get all the resources which are available in the Kubernetes cluster? kubectl get all command. What is the purpose of kubectl get all command?
It will display all the
Get all
pods,
resources.
services, deployments.
Everything.
Whatever
Whatever the resources that we have created in the cluster, I want to get all those details. For that, we can go for kubectl get all command. Whatever the pods you created, whatever the replica controller, replication controller, replication set, deployment, stateful set, daemon set, and services that you have created, everything you can see on the terminal when you go for kubectl get all command. Okay, so what is the purpose of kubectl top nodes command? What is the purpose of kubectl top
matrix?
Yes.
Matrix of all the worker nodes.
It is used to get the resource utilization of our nodes. So in order to execute the top nodes command, first we need to install metric server in our
Matrix server.
Yes, without metric server, this top nodes command is not going to work. Similarly, we have used another command called kubectl top pods command. What is the meaning of top pods command?
Check top pods used for metric
Resource utilization of pods.
Yes, it is used to see the resource utilization of each pod. Top nodes command is used to check resource utilization of the each node. Top pods command is used to check the resource utilization of each pod. Any other command that we have executed? Get nodes, get pods, pods -o wide, describe pod, logs of the pod, entering into the pod, get the pods of particular namespace, deleting all the resources that are available in the cluster, creating the pod, apply command, service, getting the service, editing the service, deleting the service, getting the namespace, create the namespace, delete the namespace, scale the
Create
deployment.
config map and create secret.
Apply only. For that also we are using apply command, but we can get them. So we can get them kubectl get CG or config map. What is the meaning of kubectl get config map? kubectl get a secret. What is the meaning of these commands? What are the config maps that we have created and what are the secrets that we have?
Environment variable where like
right. And similarly we can get
dynamic values
get RC,
RC,
kubectl get RC, kubectl get RS, kubectl get deployed, kubectl get deployed, kubectl STS. What is the meaning of kubectl get STS?
Stateful sets.
Yeah, all the stateful sets that we have created, we can get them. Then kubectl HPA, get a HPA. What is the meaning of get HPA? What is the meaning of kubectl?
Horizontal pod scale, auto scale.
We are going to get the metrics of that. kubectl get HPA-W. What is the meaning of kubectl get HPA-W?
Every 15 seconds it will show the results.
Yeah, it will show the HPA events for every 15 seconds.
Event codes.
The complete events of our kubectl of our cluster. We can go for get events command. So when you go for get events command, what will happen? It will display all the events which are happened in our cluster. Get HPA. It will display HPA metrics, horizontal pod autoscaler metrics. What is the target utilization? What is the actual utilization? How many replicas are available? What is the minimum count? What is the maximum count will be displayed. Get HPA with -w, get events. Get STS. It will give you the stateful sets that are created in our cluster. Get deploy. It will give you the deployments that are created in the cluster. Get RS. It will give you replica sets that are created in the cluster. Get RC, replication controllers. Get secret. What are the secrets we have created? Get config map. What are the config maps that we have created? And similarly, we are having another command. kubectl get to PV command is available.
Persistence volume.
Get PVC is available.
Persistence volume claim.
Yeah, PV represents persistent value that is required, storage required for our pods. PVC, that is a volume claim. So we have created PV and PVC when we are deploying our MySQL database. So get PV command will give you what are the persistent volumes that are created in our cluster. PVC will give you what are the persistent volume claims that are created in our cluster. All right. Did we miss anything else? The commands that we have practiced? Did we miss anything else, guys? Whatever we have learned in the summary.
That's it, I think so.
Yeah. So summary, Kubernetes summary. So in the last 10 days, I think our batch started on March 15th, right? For Dockers and Kubernetes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly 1 month.
Mm.
Yeah. What is orchestration? Orchestration tools. What is Kubernetes? Kubernetes architecture, Kubernetes cluster setup, kubectl, pod, Kubernetes services, headless service, node port, namespace, resources available to create the pods in the Kubernetes, blue-green deployment, replication set, deployment, stateful set, daemon set, labels and selectors in the Kubernetes, config maps and secrets, application deployment with MySQL database using config map and secret, Helm charts, Kubernetes monitoring, Prometheus and Grafana, logging and log monitoring, log aggregation by using EFK. And what is metric server? Kubernetes horizontal pod auto scaling, and we discussed about ingress controller. So as part of these topics, we have used kubectl to communicate with our Kubernetes cluster. kubectl is a command line utility to communicate with the cluster. kubectl get nodes, kubectl get pods, kubectl get pods -o wide, kubectl describe the pod and pod name, kubectl logs pod name. Get nodes will give you all the nodes which are running in the cluster. Get pods will give you the pods which are created. Pods -o wide, it is used to get the pods running on the which worker node. Describe the pod name. To see all the details of the pod, we can get this, we can use this describe. To see the logs of the pod, logs command. If you want to enter into the pod machine, then we can go for exec. To get the pods belongs to particular namespace, get pods -e namespace. To delete everything available in the cluster under default namespace, we can go with this. If you want to execute the manifest YML, apply command we are going to use with -f. To get the service under namespace, edit the service, delete the service. NS command to get the namespace, create the namespace, delete the namespace. You can scale your deployment with the deployment name, replicas count. This is used for scale up as well as scale down. kubectl get all, it is used to get all the resources which are available. kubectl top nodes command will give you the resource utilization of our nodes. Top pods command will give the resource utilization of our pod. In order to execute this top nodes, top pods, we need to have metric server installed in our machine. Then kubectl config map, what are the config maps we created? Get secret, what are the secrets we have created? Get RC, what is the replication controller? Get RS, what is the replica set? Get deploy, what are the deployments that we have done on the cluster? Get stateful set, what are the stateful set that we have deployed? Get HPA, what is the horizontal pod autoscaler that is running? HPA events we can get for every 15 seconds with -w. All the cluster events we can get by using get events command. Get PV to get the persistent volume, get PVC, get PV to get the persistent volume. So we have created. Persistent volume is used for storage purpose. Get PVC volume claim. Whatever the storage is created by using PVC to access that storage, we are going for PVC claims. PV claims will be available. Perfect. Now.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi, sir. There is one question. That means what is the best or standard practice to keep a specific number of pods or worker nodes or number of worker nodes?
Yeah, we'll come
or
to
it's
that.
Yes.
That is going to change from project to project, and based on the traffic that is coming to the application, it will be decided. I will explain that.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. And we have seen that just a basic introduction for what is RBAC. Okay. So whenever we are trying to set up that EFK stack, right? So for EFK stack, we have created user account and user service account created, role is created, role binding is happened. That is RBAC. What is RBAC full form?
Role-based access control.
Role-based access control. So role-based access control is used to decide who can access which component in the Kubernetes. That will be decided by using role. For example, you are a DevOps engineer. You are a fresher in your team. For you, they will not give the complete Kubernetes cluster access. For you, they will give only pod access to view. That's it. You cannot create the pod. You cannot delete the pod in the cluster. So like that, they will manage permissions in the Kubernetes cluster for our team members by using RBAC. RBAC is used for role-based access control in the Kubernetes cluster. Currently, whatever the cluster that we are accessing, do I have access for everything in the cluster? Come on, guys. Do I have access for everything in the cluster or not? Are we able to create? No. We are able to create the pods?
Yes, we have access.
Are we able to create the pods in the cluster? Yes. Are we able to see the logs of the pods? Are we able to delete the pods? Are we able to scale up and scale down? That means we have full access on the cluster. So whatever the cluster that we have, we are communicating with the cluster by using kubectl. What we are doing by using kubectl? Guys, what we are doing by using kubectl?
Interacting with the cluster.
We are interacting with the cluster. What operations we are able to perform on the cluster? What operations we are performing on the cluster?
Creation, deletion,
Deploying.
access it outside or within the cluster.
Right. We are able to create the deployments. We are able to delete the deployments. We are able to create the pods. We are able to delete the pods. We are able to check the pod logs. And we are having full control on the cluster. But in the real time, you may not have that full control on the cluster, because the real-time cluster, nothing but production application will be available. Suppose in our DevOps team, there is a person with 1 year experience. If I give full access for the cluster, by mistake, that person deleted one deployment, then whole application will be affected. So once he deleted, we can't get it back, right? So application will be down, the downtime will be available, customer business will be affected. That's why for all the team members, cluster full access will not be available. So to manage the access permissions for the team members in the cluster, RBAC will come into picture. What is the meaning of RBAC? RBAC nothing but role-based access control. Which team member should perform which action in the cluster will be decided by RBAC in the Kubernetes. Suppose if you are a new joinee in the team, they will give you only read access in the cluster. That means you can only see what are the pods running, what are the deployments running, what are the services are running. But you cannot create anything, you cannot delete anything, you cannot modify anything. They will give you only read access for your account in the cluster by using RBAC. For example, in our team, our senior DevOps engineer is available. He is working on the same project from the last 3 years. For that person, full access will be available. He is our DevOps team lead. That person will manage everything in the cluster. For new joinees, for freshers, for less experienced people, full access control will not be available on the cluster. So if you connect it to your cluster in the company, you cannot create the pods directly. You cannot delete the pods directly. You cannot create the deployments directly. For that, permission is required. How to decide the permissions in the cluster? That's where RBAC comes into picture. That is used for role-based access control in the Kubernetes cluster. Are you clear? What is the purpose of RBAC? Are you guys
Yes.
clear with what is the purpose of RBAC? Can you
Yes,
tell me
sir.
what is the purpose of RBAC?
Sir, for assigning specific role to a particular person.
Particular person. So which person has to perform which operation in the cluster will be decided by RBAC. That's where in the cluster, one account will be created for you. One account will be created for you in the cluster. For that account, role binding will happen. So cluster admin, nothing but all the permissions will be available for the cluster admin role. He can perform everything in the cluster. Okay. So role-based access will be available. That is called RBAC in the Kubernetes cluster. Which team member should perform which operation in the cluster will be decided by RBAC. Permissions, basically. Right. And when you go for interview, they will ask all these questions. All these questions are very, very important. All these topics are important, whatever I have mentioned here. And in the interview, they are going to ask, could you please write in the nowadays virtual interviews are happening. In the virtual interview, they are going to ask, could you please explain? Could you please share your screen? And could you please write Kubernetes deployment manifest YML? So we need to remember what is the structure of the YML. What is the structure of the YML, guys? What are the 4 sections will be available in the
API
YML?
version,
API version,
metadata.
kind metadata specification.
Yes, API version, kind, specification, and metadata will be available. API version, V1 or V2, something like that, versions will be available. Kind, what is the meaning of the kind that we are going to write? Kind will represent what type of resource that you want to create. Do you want to create the pod? Do you want to create the deployment?
Service.
Do you want to create a service? Or do you want to create a stateful set? Do you want to create a daemon set? That we need to specify by using this kind. Then metadata. Metadata is used to specify the name and it is used to specify the namespaces. And the spec will contain our container specification. So you should be able to write this manifest YML without seeing that. In the interview, they will ask and they will ask you to share your screen and they will ask you to write the manifest YML. They will ask you to share the screen and they will ask you to write the manifest YML. So you need to practice writing the manifest YMLs in the at least the basic structure of the YML. You should be able to write it. The structure of the YML you should be able to write it. And here that is for interview purpose, guys. But in the real time, all the YML files, documents, the structure will be maintained in the project. Proper documentation will be followed in the project. Suppose if you are new, if you are not able to write the Kubernetes manifest YMLs, nowadays people are using ChatGPT extensively. So can we take the help of the ChatGPT? Can we see that ChatGPT will give our manifest YMLs? Can we get the manifest YML from the ChatGPT?
Yes, sir, we can get
Can we get the ChatGPT from this? Right. Now, Kubernetes deployment manifest YML. Kubernetes deployment manifest YML. Now see here, ChatGPT is providing that YML file. See how beauty it is. API version, kind, metadata, specification, replica count, selectors, template, count. This is the Docker image that is using. Container port it is using as 88. So like this, so you can get the syntax of this manifest YML file. Suppose I want to write a service manifest. Kubernetes service manifest YML. Kubernetes service manifest YML is used to define set of pods and provides access for that. Now you see what is the default service type it has given now. Come on, guys. API version coming as V1. Kind is coming as service, metadata, service name, specification selector, app is my app, ports. So here target port, container port is 8080 and it is mapping to the port 80. Type is a cluster IP. So here they are giving the explanation also how they are writing the service manifest. In this example, the manifest file creates a cluster IP service named my service that selects pods labeled with app, my app. The service exposes port 80, which is mapped to port 8080 of the ports. The service is of type cluster IP, which means that it is only accessible within the cluster. The other types of services include node port, which exposes the services on a port on the each node, and a load balancer, which creates a load balancer in the cloud environment to distribute the traffic to the service. In addition to these basic checks, there are many more options available for configuring service, session, affinity, health checks, and external IP addresses for our services. So like this, we can get the manifest YMLs from the ChatGPT. So whenever we are working on the project, the documentation will be available properly. But for the interview purpose, you should be able to write the manifest file on your own. In the interview, they will ask this question. Open your notepad or VS Code IDE, share your screen, and can you write the manifest YML for the Kubernetes deployment? Can you write the manifest YML for Kubernetes service? How to create the pods, how to expose the pods as a service, how to create a deployment. What is the difference between the deployment and stateful set? These are very common. What is the purpose of config map and secrets? What is the Helm in the Kubernetes? How to configure pod auto scaling in the Kubernetes? What is ingress controller? How you will deploy your application to production with zero downtime? What is the difference between cluster IP and node port? Could you please explain Kubernetes architecture? So what is the relation between Dockers and Kubernetes? What is the relation between Dockers and Kubernetes, guys? What is the relation between Dockers and Kubernetes?
Docker is used to create containers.
There is no facility in Kubernetes for the auto scaling, but in facility given in the Kubernetes also. Auto scaling is provided by the
Docker is just a containerization platform. It will package our application as a Docker container. Right, inside the container, our application plus application dependencies will be available. But creating the containers manually, increasing the count of the containers, decreasing the count of the containers will be difficult. So that's why once we have the container, we need someone to manage our container. That's where orchestration tools comes into picture. Kubernetes is a orchestration platform. Docker is a containerization platform. Docker is a containerization platform. Kubernetes is orchestration platform. Are you able to follow me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Docker is a containerization platform which is used to Docker is a containerization platform which is used to package our application plus application dependencies into one image. The Docker image we can run in any machine that will create a Docker container. But creating the containers, managing the containers, increasing the containers count, decreasing the containers count manually is very, very difficult task. So once I have the Docker image, I need someone to manage my containers, someone to scale up my containers, scale down my containers. That's where Kubernetes comes into picture. Can I say Kubernetes is a replacement for the Docker, or Kubernetes is extension for the Docker?
Extension for the Docker.
Extension.
Kubernetes is promoting the Docker containers. Kubernetes is not replacement for the Docker. Can I use Kubernetes without Docker?
No.
No.
What is the main input for the Kubernetes here?
Docker file.
Docker image.
Docker image.
Image.
Docker image is the most important part in the Kubernetes. Without Docker image, we cannot do anything in the Kubernetes. Kubernetes is just to manage our containers. Managing the containers, nothing but creating the containers, deleting the containers, scale up the containers, scale down the containers. All the container related management will be done by Kubernetes. Container is a Docker container only. Container management will be taken care by Kubernetes. Are you clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Fine. Now, any questions, anyone?
If the time permits, could you please give some brief idea about the service mesh and Istio?
I will check that, sir. I have no idea on those topics. I need to check.
Okay, thanks.
Sir, in Kubernetes, can you reduce the sizes of the pods or like a Docker image?
Pod sizes we can't reduce, sir. Pods we are creating, right? We can't reduce the size of the pod. Okay, we are giving the image. Once the image is given for the Kubernetes, Kubernetes will take that image and will pull that image. Kubernetes is going to pull that image on the particular node.
Hello.
Then Kubernetes is going to create the pod. Inside the pod, our container will be available.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Ashok, do you have anything else apart from kubectl here to for the interaction?
No, from the CLI only kubectl.
Okay.
Web dashboard we can do that, but in the project real deployments, web dashboard will not. In the real deployments, pipelines will be available to deploy our applications. Okay.
Ashok, this is a question from AWS account. The bill get generated and I requested to waive off the bill, and they told just to delete all the services.
Yes, sir. We need to delete all the services. So once we delete all the services, then bill will be reduced to 0.
Correct. So
delete all the services means delete your cluster, delete the client, whatever you have created. Everything should be deleted. Then they will make your bill amount as 0.
Right. Actually, I deleted all the things except this elastic IP address.
That
So
also we need to delete.
Yeah. So when I'm trying to delete that one, it is saying it is associated with someone else, but I'm not trying to find out like where it is associated. And because of
it will be associated with the NAT gateway. You need to go to VPC. In the VPC, you need to delete that NAT gateway.
Okay, and it's some sequence over there, like just to delete one by one, or we can delete anything. I mean, whatever I want.
No, one after other we have to delete. First, you need to go to VPC. In the VPC, you need to delete the NAT gateway. Once NAT gateway deleted, then you can delete elastic IP.
Okay, because we have to start out as soon as possible because
right. So we can delete the cluster now because with this we have completed our discussion related to Kubernetes, and again from Monday we are going to start with Jenkins. For the Jenkins, first initial for 1 week of the Jenkins, this cluster is not required. Again, we need the cluster when I am going to explain the pipeline integration with Jenkins, Docker and Kubernetes. It will take 10 days to come to that pipeline level. After 10 days, again, we will create the cluster. For 10 days, we don't need to work with the cluster. We can delete that. If your practice is completed, you can delete the cluster.
Yeah.
Okay. So from Monday, I'm going to start with Jenkins. Once Jenkins is completed, again, we will set up the real CI/CD pipeline, how Jenkins will trigger Docker and how Jenkins will trigger Kubernetes. I want to, as of now, whatever the deployments that we are doing on the Kubernetes, manually we are deploying. Now I want to automate these deployments by using Jenkins. So Jenkins, I will start from Monday. Whatever the pending practice is there, that I want you people to practice everything by this weekend. From Monday, we are going to start with Jenkins. So once the Jenkins is completed, again, we'll come back and we will integrate Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, how to deploy our application by using Helm chart, how to create a Helm chart for our application, how to execute that Helm chart from the Jenkins. All that stuff we are going to learn in the coming classes.
Okay, for Jenkins also we need this Kubernetes and everything, or we can use a normal
No, we need this cluster.
Okay.
Cluster now for next 10 days, we don't need cluster because whatever the topics that are required that are covered, and the remaining topics will be discussed after Jenkins because I need Jenkins integration.
So sir, after 10 days, it will be required.
Again, it is required. Yes. Yeah. So why we need to run 10 days now? We can delete that.
So for now, we are good to delete all the cluster.
Yes,
right?
We can delete everything.
Okay, and one more question. I got an email like AWS free tire limit alert. It is 30 GB.
No issue, sir. You can. I mean, the machines that we are running now, for those machines, the volumes are created. You can, if you delete your cluster, that will be reduced. No issue.
Okay.
Anyhow, we have another 15 days in this month. So for 1 week, we are going to discuss Jenkins. Once the Jenkins completed, again, we'll come to the integration of Jenkins, Docker, and Kubernetes. Then we will complete by this month end. So we will ask AWS to reduce our bill amount to 0. If they don't reduce it, then our account will be terminated. We can create one more account in the AWS for practice. No issue with that.
Sure. One more question. Suppose
money will not be deducted automatically from your account. You don't need to worry about it.
So Ashok, now there is no need of us to request, right? We'll do it at the end of the month.
Yes,
correct?
End of the month we can do it.
Okay. Then.
Okay. One more question. Like, suppose the account get closed, and suppose I'm creating another account. I will use another email, but the debit or credit card should be same, or it should be different.
Same card you can use. Just your mail ID should be different. That's it.
Okay, that's good then.
Sir, one more question. What is the args it is used in Nginx Ingress YML? Could you please explain once?
Can you come again?
I'm asking about args, whatever the argument you have used in Nginx Ingress YAML file.
Ingress YAML file. So here Kubernetes Ingress is available. So Kubernetes Ingress is deployed here. Once Ingress is deployed here, then we are going to deploy our application. Here the arguments, this is my domain name. So in the Jenkins integration, at the time of that, I will purchase a domain, I will integrate it. These are my paths that I am using. So whenever you send a request to this domain with this path, this service pods will be accessed. Whenever you send a request to this domain with this service, with this path, this service, that means for which path, which service should be executed, we are configuring in the Ingress. Path-based routing. Suppose if you go to application, let me take an application example as Make My Trip. So in the Make My Trip, when you click flights API will be loaded. Flight spots will execute. So you can see the change in the URL. /flights is coming. Whenever you click on flight service will be executed. When you click on the hotels, the URL change it to hotels. That is called path-based routing. To do that path-based routing, we are using that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ashok sir, AWS has another service called ECS.
Docker Container
Service.
Yes, we'll come to that.
Right.
In the AWS
So
classes,
some people
we'll come to that.
use. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ashok.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Very good morning. Actually, in RBAC, how to create that, how to assign that role? Any specific YAML file created or is an command?
This domain?
No, not this domain. I'm asking RBAC. If you create a new user and that new user,
the manifest YMLs RBAC for RBAC also manifest YMLs will be available. So when we are going for the dashboard setup, I created a user account, right? For creating the user account, we have a manifest YML. Like that user account will be created. Let me show you that. Yeah, you see here, this is a manifest YML to create a user. And this is a manifest YML to bind the role for the user.
Okay.
Yeah. So like this manifest YMLs will be available for RBAC as well.
Okay, fine.
Sir, for Ingress controller, we need to register a Route 53.
Route 53 domain is required. So you need to purchase your domain in the AWS. Then only you can practice that Ingress.
Okay.
Perfect.
Ashok?
Yes.
So while we are creating these manifest files, we are giving some names, right? So
Correct.
in live project, like where can we get those details, like name of the pods, name of like mapping of these
project name will be there. With the project name we are going to use. Suppose if it is a hotels related project, hotel spot, train spot, like that. We can give that name. Whatever the project name is available, same name we will give for the service. With service is the ending point. Suppose I am deploying hotels application, hotel app pod, hotel app deployment, hotel app DB deployment, hotel app DB service, hotel app service, like that. We will give the project name we will use for that. Project name we are going to use for. Yep. Clear, guys? All of you. So what is your plan for this weekend? I want you to complete all the practice related to Kubernetes topics that we have learnt in the class.
Tomorrow no class, right?
Obviously.
Sorry?
Tomorrow is the class or not?
Tomorrow no class, sir. Tomorrow Sunday. I'm giving rest for you people.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ashok.
Hello, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, actually, in the month of March, the bill got generated. 1,000 rupees bill got generated, sir.
You no need to pay now. So in this month end, we will raise your request. They will clear all the 2 months bill amount.
Now, what I should do, sir? I should delete the cluster.
Now you delete the cluster. Now it is not required for us, na?
Okay,
From Monday, we are going to take only one Ubuntu machine for Jenkins. That's it. We don't need any cluster. So I mean, so you guys can practice all the components all the commands that we have discussed, all the topics in the Kubernetes. So tomorrow evening, I will send you one command which is used to delete the cluster. So tomorrow you can spend for the practice. Once your practice is completed, then you can delete your cluster.
Okay,
Sure.
sir. They will
I will
not
give the-
terminate it, no, sir, till the last week of this month.
No, so they will not terminate every time. So if you don't pay the bill in the first week of the month, account will be terminated. They will not delete in the middle of the month.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
We got the reminder like I have not paid the bill.
No problem, sir. This month end we will make it 0, or else we can create the new account.
Okay.
Yeah. And one more thing, guys, I am preparing the test paper for the Kubernetes. How we have done for the Docker. In the same way, I am preparing test for the
Yes, sir.
Kubernetes.
Yes, we are waiting for that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Tomorrow I will give that test. Okay.
Tomorrow.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Actually, can you come up with the error when you are entering into the pod using kubectl exec-it pod name and /bin/bash?
Is your pod? Yeah, we will check that issue as well. Is your pod in the running status?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. We will check that issue.
Thank you.
Sir, can we delete this whole cluster through the CLI, sir, command line?
Yeah, I will send the command. So now, today and tomorrow's weekend, now you can practice all the topics. So I will give the command to delete.
Okay, sir. Sir,
Okay,
one
yes.
thing is, sir.
Yeah. Tell me.
Sir, we have set up that cluster setup by using Amazon EKS, sir. And
Right.
how can we set up that using this Kubernetes clusters?
Yeah, I will give one video for that, sir. Kubernetes. So how to set up that? It is 1 hour process.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. In the previous batch, I explained the Kubernetes, but the issue is people are
Yes,
not
sir.
able to execute all the commands properly. We got lot of problems.
So this Kubernetes is like manual setup, like it's other
Manually,
like
you need to create 3 Linux machines in the AWS cloud. In those Linux machines, we need to install all the required softwares. That is manual process.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Fine.
Can you share the document, Kubernetes document? Already you have, right?
Yeah, I have the document. I will share the document and I will share the video also.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fine, guys. Now, what is your opinion on our Dockers and Kubernetes classes? How it is helping you people? Now, any benefit that you see?
It's very nice, basically, Docker and Kubernetes. Currently, as I'm giving parallelly, I'm trying to give the interview, but most of the questions for the Kubernetes, I'm able to clear it, but not other topics like Terraform and Jenkins. Of course, they expect Terraform and Jenkins as well. But they're expecting some questions like how to upgrade the Kubernetes, what we have done upgrading Kubernetes. For that thing, I was not able to answer it. Even as I ping you, right, that STO and service mesh concept, because 2-3 interviews, I have same question.
Okay.
Kubernetes upgrade. How do you update your Kubernetes
Cluster
upgrade
Kubernetes version? How you upgrade?
Yeah. So that thing I don't know. That's it.
Okay.
Rest of, apart from that, even I was able to clear all the answers.
What kind of questions they ask from Kubernetes, sir? Can you
So basically, Ashok, I was trying to give him the interview, but I don't have any idea about the rest, Jenkins and all those things. So first they ask the question like what you have done in the project and what about your previous experience and blah blah blah. Okay, so I because I know currently as only Docker and Kubernetes. Okay, so I just try to emphasize them that they will ask the question like Docker and Kubernetes. So I just try, while explaining myself, I just feel like that, I have done blue-green deployment model and blah, blah, blah. And, I just try to give the, we have written the, that 4 manifest for YAML. We have, they expect ingress as well. Ingress, multiple interview, I face ingress controller question. So I was not able to answer it because we have not read it. Because I think 2-3 days before we have cleared it. Okay, so rest of the thing is fine. And service concept they ask, service basically node portal. And yes, one more question they ask, like how do you manage your traffic in the Kubernetes cluster? This question they asked, and that's it. That's it.
Good.
Sir, my interview is like, say he ask about like an Argo CD, like for continuous integration tool, we have a Jenkins, no, sir?
Right.
Yeah, just like that, the interviewer asked him about like for continuous deployment. So which tool are you going to use? Like it's a Argo CD deployment, like for continuous deployment. We are going to set up an Argo CD as the interviewer asked like that.
Sir, in some projects, right? So for the continuous integration, for continuous deployment, they will use Jenkins. But in some projects, for continuous integration, they will use Jenkins. For deployment, they will use other tools, paid tools like udeploy or something like that. In my project, udeploy is available. That is a paid software.
Okay,
Jenkins is free software.
Okay, sir. Thank you. It's free and open source now, Jenkins, sir.
Yeah, Jenkins is free. Anyone
Actually,
else, guys? Can you
yeah,
please
they
share
ask one question like, what
Huh.
are the deployments you're using in the project? They ask some questions like, what are the
Deployment.
deployments? So deployment strategy, I'm aware, deployment object, I know, but they're saying like, suppose you have deployed your application with the help of blue-green deployment, right? So what else you have done it? So I was not able to answer this question as well.
What else you have done? Application deployment is done. Application deployment, is it tested? Is it deployed successfully or not? Pod
It
logs
means
we have tested.
how do you deploy the application? Of course, for deploying the application, we are using the blue-green deployment, right? This is the one of the thing. Any other approach you have you're using?
Yeah, sir. The same question was asked by the interviewer. Like, what is the difference between blue-green and Canara deployment? He has asked.
Kerala, there is one more recreate, rolling update, and one more approach is there in the deployment. Okay, I will cover that in the Jenkins integration.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, fine. And anyone else, guys? So, is it helping in your project? Anybody who is already working in the company projects, they are using Docker and Kubernetes. How our course is helping for you? Anything needs to be improved? Or we are good? So Docker and Kubernetes is interesting topic, right? So easy or difficult now?
It's easy. We can do it. If we do practice, we can easily digest
Little
it.
practice is required.
Yeah.
So Docker is very easy, but Kubernetes is little tough, but practice is required.
Not easy, not difficult, sir.
Not easy, not difficult. Huh?
Yeah, it depends on practice. Like if you do the practice, it definitely will be good.
And this is damn important, guys. So every developer, every DevOps engineer should know Docker and Kubernetes. The future of the operations is completely based on the Docker and Kubernetes only.
Correct.
Without knowing this Docker and Kubernetes, we can't survive in our job, and we can't crack the interview as well. In every interview, they are asking these questions for the developers as well as DevOps engineers. It is damn important. And it is very interesting subject as well. All good?
Sir, next month we are going to start like the Terraform, Ansible, and AWS.
Correct, sir. So this another 15 days of time is there now. In these 15 days, we'll complete our Jenkins and our CI/CD jobs and everything. From the next month, we will start with AWS. Once the AWS services are completed, then Ansible and Terraform will come into picture.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. So with this, I'm stopping for today. Happy weekend. Please practice everything that we discussed in the Docker and Kubernetes. From next Monday, we will be busy with the Jenkins. We'll see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Hello, sir. There is one question. Can we check that means Docker deployment in ECR? Actually, we are using the same thing in our project.
ECR, nothing but whatever the Docker image we have created, we are pushing the Docker image to Docker Hub registry, right? In the companies,
yes,
they will use ECR registry to push the Docker images. We will discuss that in the AWS.
Yes, sir. If you can give some brief introduction, it will be helpful.
Sure, definitely. I will show you how to push the Docker image to ECR as well.
Yes, yes. Actually, using the Spring Batch, we are using in our project. So I want just a brief. Actually, we are having everything there, but to connect everything, so that I want if you can brief something.
Sure, definitely, sir. I will do that.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Ashok, one thing from my side. See, I am right now I'm production support, and earlier I was in development, and I moved to the production support. Now I want to back to this one. I mean, AWS support and whatever, right? So, do I need to learn Spring as well, or this is sufficient to just
if
get
you want to go with the operation side, then Spring is not required.
It's not required.
Yeah.
Okay. So full stack developer is
if you want to become the full stack, if you already have the development knowledge, then if you do you know Spring already?
Yeah, I know. Yep.
Then if you learn the AWS, that will become added. Basically, my profile is also Java profile.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working as a full stack developer, so I will manage development as well as operations in the project.
Yeah, it's been 5 years when I moved to the prod support, but still I know the Spring and everything. But
learn the AWS, then you can make a jump with the cloud knowledge.
Correct. But I have to brush up Spring as well, because there were lots of changes I have seen here.
In the Spring 3.0, Spring Boot 3.0, so many changes are there. Nothing is working, which we used to work previously.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, guys. So final notes updated. The summary notes, today's notes file also updated. The final notes for the Kubernetes uploaded. So please practice. We'll meet on Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.